Yo, what's up? Misha here. If you don't know me, now you do. I train and place high ticket closers with high profile online offers. This is our sales agency, our office up here in Toronto. In this video, this is a training call that I did for our coaching group. Okay, this is for about 70 people. I did a very deep dive into how do you present a high ticket program? How do you explain in 2 minutes a program that's worth $5, $10, $25,000 where someone's gonna buy it on the first call? Okay, most salespeople, they're reading off of a script, it's very dry. They say the same thing to every single prospect. By the end of this video, you're gonna have a framework that you can use in terms of how to actually present your program in a way that's gonna tailor to your unique prospect's needs, all right? Whether you're training to become a remote closer or if you already are one, this is gonna be super valuable for you. So pull out your pen and paper and let's dive in.
Cool. Presentation. Where should I start with this? Well, I'll kind of speak to the people who are brand new, right? Because I think it's important to kind of start with the basics, and to recap those. Even a lot of the times, like me, like talking about this stuff on these calls helps me internalize everything a lot better. One thing that I want to be very clear. So for those of you writing down notes, presentation right up at the top. Before you get into your presentation, okay, like when you decide, okay, now it's time for me to break down the program, that decision means that like the prospect is ready to buy. Like they should be closed, they should be sold before you even tell them what you're selling. All right. That's going to be the key. That's the key to the 10 steps, to all the questions that we ask, everything that we do. The key to closing on the first call is the deal is closed before he even presents. Why? Because people don't buy the program. They don't buy like the deliverables and the shit that you explain and the bullet points that you give them. They're not spending 10 grand on that. They're spending 10 grand on you, the individual that they've spoken to for the past 30 minutes. You, the individual that inspired them to think bigger, right? You the individual that showed them a roadmap on how they're going to get from where they're at to where they're trying to go, right? So I just want to, before we get into the presentation, just keep that in mind. Do not think that you're just going to go into your presentation and like the guy's kind of on the fence and he's like, kind of half in, half out. Don't think that like the presentation is going to push him over the edge because it won't. Really won't. The presentation is just the icing on the cake, right? You know what the presentation is? I'll tell you this. The presentation is like, why do people buy, right? Emotion or logic? Emotion. I'll just answer it. Right? 10 steps is an emotional framework, right? We're tapping into emotions, deep desires, motivations. We're bridging a gap on how they're actually going to, solve their problems and get to where they want to go, right? It's emotional. People make decisions with their emotions and they justify those decisions with logic, right? Like, for example, I'll give you guys a really good example. Like when you buy yourself a nicer than normal car, if you decide to opt for the BMW or the Audi or the Benz or whatever, even though it's a little bit out of your price range, right? Like it's an emotional decision because you're thinking in your head, okay, I'm gonna buy the nice car because of the way it's gonna make me feel every day, because of the way that people are gonna see me pulling up in that Benz. It's gonna be different. It's gonna maybe increase my confidence. Maybe it's gonna help me with women or whatever. Like you justify it to yourself, and buying a car is a super emotional decision, especially when you're getting into the nicer stuff, right? With like the options and the higher price points and everything, right? Super emotional. You go, you do it, you drop the money. First day you're driving the car, you're freaking excited. It's awesome, new car. If you're like basically on a high, right? Maybe the first week you feel good about it. but that emotion wears off after maybe your first or second week in a really nice car. It just becomes a car. Then that's when you start justifying it with logic after, right? Okay, you know what? Like it actually is, I really enjoy driving this car. Like all emotion aside, like this is a really good car. I like it. It's worth the money. Everything is good, right? It works. It's not fucking breaking down on me all the time. It does the job. It does what I want it to do. It's like the emotions go away and then you justify the decision with logic. But if it's like breaking down all the time, you have to bring it in for maintenance and everything, and the logic doesn't make sense, then you're going to end up going back to the dealership and returning that thing, right? So just keep that in mind, right? So the presentation is the logic, right? You're just breaking down the logic of how it all works and why you're going to spend the money that you're going to spend. That's what you're doing here. Does that make sense? Cool.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of break down a framework that you guys can follow. It's going to expand a little bit on what we have in the course. So I'm going to give you guys well first I'll give you just like the general outline of what a typical program looks like that all of you will be selling, right? It's really the same thing across the board, honestly. No matter what industry you're selling in, the deliverables are going to be very similar. Okay. So whether you're selling e-commerce coaching, real estate coaching, mindset training, women's realtor coaching to automate your business, if it's anything, right? Fitness coach, it's all really the same, right? So there's always going to be some kind of video material. And by the way, it follows an identical structure to Millionaire Closers, right? Any program that you sell. There's always going to be a video course. Just really quickly, I'll go through this so that you guys can use this for your role plays in the future, and you guys can, kind of mix up the niches and the industries. Just follow this. There's going to be a video course. There's going to be a group coaching section. But like the call that we're on right now. There's usually some kind of private channel, right? Private communications. So for example, the private WhatsApp group that all of you guys have, right? This is really the base right here. This is really the base of anything that you're into. Video course, group coaching, private channel. On top of this, you might have one-on-ones. One-on-ones, a lot of the time, this is going to be like a higher ticket, maybe like, another tier to your program is with one-on-one coaching. Sometimes there are done DFY, done for you elements, right? Where, hey, we're going to be building out your store for you completely and getting it ready. So that way we can dive straight in, right? Whatever else it might be. A lot of the times there might be a done for you elements. Something is just done, out of the way for you. Sometimes there's live events, right? Again, potentially an upsell, an additional tier in your program. Maybe it's just included, right? Like with us, for example, we just do live events because they're fun. We like meeting you guys and like, we just do them for free. But this is really what you're looking at. Okay, this is an average program. Now, how do you present this? Because you guys, when you guys are placed, you guys are going to get like a Google Doc. It's going to say group coaching 4 times a week at this time, video course A through Z, the entire strategy, private WhatsApp channel. Like this is literally what you guys are going to get. Now you have to be able to explain it in a certain way, right? You're not just going to read off your bullet points. Okay. So let me give you guys something that isn't in the course. Let's get into how we're actually going to explain it. First of all, so you made the decision. Okay, this prospect I'm speaking to, uh, Kiefer, did you have a question about something?
Yeah, I got a quick question. As far as presentation, what kind of prospects do we future pace? For example, how much detail should I go into and tell a prospect, hey, like during the first week, you should be expecting to learn all the material. Then on week two, you're going to transition into implementing the material. Should we do that with each and every single prospect?
Yeah, there's no reason why you wouldn't.
Excellent.
Okay, guys, I want to dive into everything I want to talk about. There's more questions at the end. We'll get to it. I just don't want to interrupt my train of thought. So, Celia, hold that thought. Okay, so presentation. First thing I really like to do is when I started out, a lot of people they'll just go into, okay, so you get access to three different things. The first thing you get access to is this. I hate that starts to a presentation. Like that freaking sucks. Like that's just so boring, right? I like to sum up the entire program in like one or two sentences at the start, right? Millionaire closers. Hey, so just to be clear, the entire purpose of the coaching is really to get your skill level to a place where we can justify connecting you with a high profile coach so that you can make the upper end of the income in the high ticket closing space. Does that make sense? Great. And then I'll move into it, right? E-commerce. Hey, from, really what our program just overall, from what we found with e-commerce, there's so many little things that can go wrong. That's the reason why we're going to work with you on a high level of intimacy so that we can basically skip the learning curve and get into the scaling phase as fast as possible. Right? Hey, a lot of and like this could be tailored to your prospect. You're dealing with someone who's never done e-commerce in their life before. Hey, a lot of the people who work with us, like the reason why they do work with us is, well, let me back up. Most of the people who actually work with us, the reason why they do is because they've never done this before. And, obviously you as a business owner, like you don't want to spend 6 months dumping thousands of dollars into ads before you start seeing profit. Like you want to know that you can start on the right note, start seeing results. So that's the reason why we're going to work with you on a high level of intimacy. Or real estate, right? Hey, so, once upon a time, Joe, real estate coach, he's been in this game for the past 10 years and he's basically locked down a strategy so specifically, it's basically a formula. Okay, throughout the entire coaching, what we're going to be doing is teaching you that exact formula and showing you exactly how to replicate it within your own deals. Okay, this is literally going to remove all of the guessing from your process, right? Like you can do this in a lot of different ways, right? Understand what you're selling, understand like the main value proposition of why somebody would spend X amount on your X program, right? Because there's different reasons for everything. Fitness coaching, it's accountability is what people are paying for, right? Hey, from what we've realized, like what really gets people the most results, here's the thing, you have all the information. There's a reason why you haven't used that. And it's because you don't have the accountability. So the entire program, like we're going to give you all the information and just tell you exactly what to do. But the most important thing is we're going to hold you accountable to every single step of the process. That way, like it's almost impossible for you not to, lose your 20 pounds before you go to Miami. Right. So I'll drop one of these little, 1, 2 sentences just to really sum up the program and get them thinking about it the way I want them to think about it. Okay. This isn't in the presentation just because it's kind of, you just got to come up with some shit. This is on you. Nobody's going to script this for you. I'm not going to tell you what to say. I just gave you 10 different examples, right? Figure something out, play around with it. understand who you're speaking to and just solve their problem with 2 sentences. Okay. Now we're moving into the actual deliverables. So 2 things. Here's the formula. Deliverable, benefit. We want to get really natural with this formula here, right? So really, I mean, again, right? Like you might have 4 or 5 things to your program. Don't really explain all of it. Otherwise, this is going to go on for too long. I'd recommend pick like 3 or 4 main things. And then you're going to be following this thing. So just to be clear, what is a deliverable? A private WhatsApp group, that's a deliverable. Group coaching calls is another deliverable. One-on-ones is it's a thing that we're delivering to you, that you're getting money or you're paying for, right? Deliverable benefit. So, hey, from what we've seen, people, especially in e-commerce, especially in 2023, when you really have like high level of intimacy directly with people who are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, like it's almost impossible to fit. Right? If someone's holding your hand through the entire process, it's very hard to mess it up if you're putting in the work. The first thing you're going to be getting access to is going to be our in-depth video training. This is going to take you A through Z through the entire process of building an online business. I'm explaining what it is. That's the deliverable. What is it? Very simple, right? Explain it. Yeah, so the first thing we're going to get you access to is our A through Z video training. This is going to basically walk you through step by step everything that you're going to be doing through the entire process. The reason why we have this is so that you can refer to it on your own time and always have clarity on what your next step is, so that you never have to go to YouTube University and just get lost in all the crap that's on there. Like you're always going to have a reliable source of information that you can go back to and lean on, so that you know every step to actually take moving forward. Does that make sense? Right? So the benefits. What does your prospect get from an A through Z video course? What is it? It's confidence. That's what they get. They get a source of information that's credible. They never have to go watch another YouTube video again. You guys don't need to go look up how do you handle another objection. You can just go to the course. Right? I mean, maybe you do, like, just because you want to see some other approaches and learn a little bit more and do some extra work. But like, bottom line, if you want to figure something out about sales, you go to the course, and that's your reliable, credible source of all information every step of the way. Right? A lot of people brush over the video course, but if you explain that right, you can position it really well. Okay. Group coaching, like Millionaire Closers, for example. Hey, we do 8 training calls every single week. So in other words, basically every single day, you're going to be getting on a group call where we go into, specific sales strategies that you can go and apply to your business. Right? 2 things are going to happen on these group calls. This is what I say all the time. And anybody who's been on the phone with me, you've heard this. 2 things are going to happen on these group calls. One, you're going to hear other closers who are already ahead of you role play. You're going to mirror them. This is how I learned sales, by hearing other people who are ahead of me do sales. You're going to be able to mirror them and basically just copy what they're doing. And 2, and probably more importantly, is you're going to be stepping up on these coaching calls, role playing in front of 60, 70 people under pressure, going through a live sales situation. You're going to make mistakes, but this is what's going to prepare you, a few months down the road for a high ticket offer. The moment you get comfortable role playing live on one of these calls, you're going to be comfortable on the phones. Right? You can, with real estate, right? Let's say it's real estate. You got a few group calls. Hey, so 3 times a week we do group coaching calls at 7 p.m. at these times. The reason why we do these group calls is so that, as you're implementing the steps and the strategies that we're teaching you, we can check in on you 3 times a week. You can ask any questions, and basically any confusion, any, little questions that might come up through the process, you're going to be able to jump on these calls and get them answered. That way, even on your first deal, like, you're going to be confident every step of the way because you're going to have us in your corner. Right? Like, listen to, I really hope you guys are picking up like the key words that I'm saying. Confident, clarity, accountability, step by step, right? Because especially in something like real estate, right? The first deal is the hardest one. You've never done it before. You have 1,000 questions, and you also don't know what you don't know. Hey, 3 times a week, as you're following everything we're telling you to do, 3 times a week, you're going to talk to us. You're going to be asking questions. That way we can just monitor exactly what you're doing to make sure that you're not making any mistakes and you're doing everything completely correct. Right? I think in real estate, people are more worried about making a mistake. Right? Like, especially when you're dealing with big amounts of money, when you're talking about, loans and mortgages and all that, people are really afraid of that. Right? E-commerce. It's that, hey, 3 days a week, we're going to be jumping on a call with you. Similar kind of thing, right? Almost exactly the same as real estate. It's more like clarity, where we can walk you through every single step of the process. Where, like, we can basically take you by the hand every other day, get on a Zoom meeting with you. A lot of the times on these group calls, we actually share screens where we're going to be able to take a look at what you got going on and give you live advice, holding you accountable and making sure that you're following through on all the steps correctly. All right. Benefits. Again, understand what you're selling. Understand what you're selling at a deeper level. Think about it. Think about what you're selling. Think about what you guys get from these calls. Like, think about every component of Millionaire Closers and like what you've gained from it. Not knowledge. Okay, knowledge is like, if you notice, like, at least on my calls, I don't say, hey, on these training calls, you're going to be getting an insane amount of knowledge and information. Like, that's not really what I'm saying. Obviously you are, but it's not really relevant to the sale. Like, my whole thing is, again, what's the purpose of this program? To get you ready for a placement. On these calls, we're going to be preparing you, running you through the different scenarios that you're going to see, so that by the time you're placed, you've seen all of it and you have no excuse to not be confident because you've attended the calls and because you've been stepping up and role playing. Right? So it's not, think about every single thing. The private WhatsApp group, some of you guys, some of you guys we need to hold accountable. Some of you guys we don't, but like, we check in on basically everybody. Like, we're texting all of you guys. Like, you guys see how many people are in this program. We're messaging all of you guys, seeing what's happening, what's the update, what's going on, holding your guys' ass accountable. And I promise you, there's some people on this call who maybe took a week off, maybe they just slowed down, life happened, whatever. They get a text from us and they're like, okay, I'm back in the zone. Accountability, right? Accountability is big. Clarity, one-on-ones. One-on-one is like a higher level of accountability, in my opinion. One-on-one is like, depending on, like, not really with sales, but I'd say in any other business opportunity, one-on-one is subtraction of the trial and error, right? Removing trial and error, removing the guesswork completely, right? And accountability on top of that. People are more afraid of failing than they are excited to win, generally speaking. Right? So like the whole time, like, you're just like mitigating the risk. Do you guys see that? Like, basically everything that I'm saying, I'm just mitigating all of the risks. So that at the end of the call, it's like they can't tell me, oh, how do I know I'm going to see results? It's like, dude, I just told you exactly what needs to happen on your side to see results. You know what I even do sometimes? Let me pull this back a little bit. So we're talking about benefit right now, deliverable benefit, right? Let me pull this back a little bit. I really like doing this. This is something I probably started doing a couple months ago. Again, if you've been on a sales call with me, you remember me saying this. I'll introduce my presentation like this. I'll be, hey, so listen, our program is super simple. Like I'll break all that down to you. More importantly, I want to be crystal clear with what needs to happen on your side for you to be able to make this work and get to your goal of X, Y, and Z. If me and you are on the same page with what you have to do, if our expectations align, we can go ahead and get you started. If not, no hard feelings out of the way. I'll do my best to point you in the right direction. Does that sound good? It's like, but because again, it's like right away, like I'm trying to mitigate the risk completely. I'm going to tell them exactly what needs to happen for you to go and see results. And if we're on the same page, then we'll do business, right? Again, kind of that same concept, right? I like to start out my presentations like that. Okay, so yeah, I mean, pretty simple. I can add a little bit to everything I just said, but this is a presentation. You intro with a basic, very simple, high value proposition. Hey, what our program is all about is this. This is the reason why our students crush it, because we jump on freaking 9 training calls with them a week. Okay. Because we run you through absolutely every possible sales situation before you get placed. That way you'll crush it when you're on the phones. Right. You guys can kind of extrapolate to, you know, if you're looking to get into real estate or e-commerce, or if you want to do trading or credit repair or, you know, anything else, like know a little bit about the industry and you know, switch it up. You started out with a little bit of that. You run through maybe 3 to 4 deliverable benefit. Okay. Now here's some extra things that you guys can kind of mix in to your presentation, that you should be mixing into your presentation as you go through this. One is just quick commitments. Hey, makes sense? Just involve them, right? It shouldn't be you just talking, right? Just blah, 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 blah for freaking 5 minutes. Like, make sure that they're engaged, right? Hey, makes sense? All that's clear? Okay, gotcha. I know you mentioned your work schedule. Can you make it to those calls? Okay. Or even, hey, by the way, you know, I know you mentioned that Friday call you're not going to be able to make. We actually record every single meeting. Saturday morning, do you think you can find some time to sit down and go over the training? Okay, amazing. Right? Hey, does that make sense? Is that clear to you? Cool. Hey, by the way, just really quickly, just go ahead and write this down. I want you to do a minimum of 10 to 20 role plays a week, and I want you to be able to do that consistently. That's going to be your goal through the program. Just let me know when you finish writing that down. Right? Like little things like that. Get them engaged, get them involved. 2, you can bring up challenges. Bring up, like, just address them head on. Like, head on. Hey, I know you mentioned you've never done this before in your life, and you're not even sure where you're going to start. That's the exact reason why we're going to be scheduling a one-on-one call with you every single week. Because most people we work with, they've never done this before. Right? So, like, rather than, it'll be like challenge, deliverable benefit. You might do that once in your presentation. Maybe once. I probably wouldn't do more than that. Otherwise, it just sounds weird. Hey, I know you mentioned you're kind of tight on cash right now. That's the reason why we're going to be giving you our video course. So the way the video courses work, like, we've literally broken this thing down into a formula. It's very close to copy and paste. If you follow exactly what's in the video course, when it comes to, making your TikTok creatives for your e-commerce site, like it's very hard to mess it up. And it's basically going to allow you to cut all the trial and error and make sure that you see profit a little bit sooner. All right. Hey, I know you mentioned you're tight on time. That's why we record all the calls. Or hey, I know you mentioned that, like, growing up right now, like the people in your circle and in your area, like nobody's really entrepreneurial, and like your network isn't where it needs to be. That's the reason why we're going to be adding you into a private Facebook group with 400 freaking savages, so that you can connect with like-minded individuals who are going to hold you accountable and push you to become the best version of yourself. And we're going to be doing live events where you can come out and you can meet everybody, because I know you mentioned, your network, and you want to improve that. That's actually one of the biggest parts of our program is the network aspect, right? So you can like really emphasize it. If someone, I don't know if anybody caught that, but just a little thing that you can do, just for those of you taking down notes. If someone's got a problem, tell them that a bunch of people have the same problem. Tell them that everybody's got the same problem, right? And because it's like automatically, it's like, it's a sigh of relief, right? It's like when you realize that like everyone's going through their personal shit, that like everyone kind of has like a fucked up head and like anxiety and depression, like a little bit at least. You're like, okay, that's good to hear that at least like everybody has it. It's not just me, right? You guys know what I mean? It's like refreshing to know that. You're like, fuck, I'm not alone in this, right? So with any problem that they have, I've never done this before, I don't know how to run ads, I'm afraid of the scammers, any problem. It's like these are going to be common things that you hear on a lot of your calls. You'll be like, hey, listen, I hear that all the time. That's actually the exact reason why we do this, because most of the people we work with, they're kind of in the same boat. For example, most of the people in this program, right, like working some kind of 9-to-5 job, you have a major commitment going on right now, right? And you're looking to pick this up on the side, and a lot of people are looking to start on the side, take it on full time, right? So when I get on a call with someone and they're like, yeah, my hours, my schedule, I'll be like, yeah, by the way, like most people in our program are in the exact same position as you. That's the reason why we do it this way, so that we can make sure that you see the results you want to see. Tonality, if it wasn't clear, like if you're not juiced up about what you're selling, like if you're not excited about it, how the hell do you think your prospect is going to drop, a bag on this call? Like, if you're just going through it, yeah, so, you're getting access to 3 things, this, and that, so that, you can get all the results you want to see. Does that make sense? It's like tonality, right? Like, you guys hear me do it all the time. Like, really, that contained enthusiasm should be maxed out in your presentation. Should be at a freaking 11. Every single thing. Like, I'm like, I gotta like take a breath, because I've been contained enthusiasm for the past like freaking 30 minutes. Contained enthusiasm the whole way. How do you not close a deal? If you do all of that, how do you not make this happen?
Boom. Hey, shout out to you really quick for spending 30 minutes watching a training on a really niche part of the sales process. Says a lot about you and how serious you're taking your skill set and your career. So what we do, like in that program for the recording that you just watched, is we train the hell out of closers. We get them ready for high profile placements, and we help them develop careers working in the space. I made an hour-long video breaking down step by step how we helped one of our best clients this year do that, and how we got to making 20 grand a month within 4 months of starting. Okay, watch the video, check it out. I think you'll enjoy it since you made it to the end of this one. You'll definitely get a lot of value out of it, and I'll see you there.